Hi everyone, it's Miriam Ortiz y Pino here with More Than Organized Monday. And today we're going to be talking about everything in its place. It's that old adage where, if you have everything in its place, you're going to stay organized. It fails to take into consideration how people actually use and work within their space, however. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how to first create a space, and then how to be able to keep everything there and still use it. So it's not just stored away and stashed out of the way. But we want to be able to use the things that we have in our life and use the space we have as well. So before we get into it, I want to just remind everybody that there's lots of free resources, including 5 ways to declutter fast, available over at the More Than Organized website. And you can see there, the morethanorganized.net is where you go to get those free resources and peruse around and see what all is available through More Than Organized. Lots of different ways to work with me or get the information you need to do it yourself. So check that out. So let's talk a little bit about this space. What do we do in our spaces, and how does that contribute to not being organized? And I would say I find in my clients' homes a lot of the time that there's this loosely defined space like a kitchen or a master bedroom, but other things have crept into it over the years or weeks that have nothing to do with the kitchen or the master bedroom, and then they're just there, and those things don't actually have a place to go when they're not there, and so it becomes a little bit of a dumping ground, and it makes it easier to leave more and more things there. So I always recommend starting with, what is the actual definition of the space you're using? Sometimes my clients have found it seems a little too simple to sit down and do this part of the exercise, but every time we do, it gives enough structure to the plan and the work that it becomes very obvious when we're working in the kitchen and all of a sudden we find a dump truck in the pantry. We know that the dump truck should probably be in the playroom or the kids' room, not in the pantry, because nowhere in there does it say playing in the pantry or dump truck storage in the pantry. So by doing some simple defining of the actual space and the activities that you're going to do in that space, you can save a lot of time and effort and stress over what should be kept there. So defining your space is the first thing you want to do. It can be simple. The bathroom is for hygiene, showering, and washing your hands, whatever happens there. Maybe getting dressed if it's that kind of house. Maybe it's washing the dog if it's that kind of house. So you see, you can define the space, and then it helps inform what you're going to keep there and the best way to keep it. So the second step, once you've defined what a space is going to be, if it's the home office, the master bedroom, the kids' room, wherever this space happens to be, the closet under the stairs, there's a lot of different spaces. You want to define each one. It helps you figure it out. Second step is to remove the excess things in the way in that space. So you remove the obvious trash, and then you remove the things that don't work in that definition, work within that definition. So the dump truck leaves the pantry. Now you have some room for bottled water. Or maybe from the master bedroom, you remove your home office, and it becomes a master bedroom with a place to relax at the end of the day. So those are the kinds of things you can start figuring out. Well, this doesn't actually belong in here. Why is this here? Why have I dumped it here? And then you can begin to actually have created an environment instead of just having it defaulted to where I last set things down. Okay? We're talking about creating an environment to do your best work and live a fuller life. And so taking the little bit of time to pre-plan what you're going to do in that space and the things required for it make it so much easier. Now, one of the places my clients sometimes get a little stuck here is, what do you do with those things that don't belong in that space, but you don't actually have a place for them to go? And I call that the temporary pile. It just moves around the house with you until you figure out where that space is. Some things are going to be obvious. You might already have a toy room. You might not have organized it yet, but that dump truck could go to the toy room even though the rest of the room isn't organized. It just makes more sense there. So you want to get it closer to if you don't have the full defined space and area for the thing. Sometimes we get to the end of the house and there's still a few things in our going around the house with us basket that don't actually have a spot to go. And then you got to ask, well, is it important enough to keep it all? If you don't find it important enough to give it a space, this particular hobby or this particular group of stuff that you've held on to, maybe it's time to let it go. Maybe it's time to reevaluate which activities you're participating in, and you may not need that hockey stick anymore if you aren't actually playing hockey. So think of it that way. We're removing the excess and informing what else we can do with the space and how we can keep things. All right. Where are we at? I have my little agenda. Okay, so once we remove the excess, you want to arrange the space. So now that you have just the things you're working with, and hopefully you did a little bit of clutter purging as well when you were removing the excess. Now you know, okay, here's my home office. I'm going to need a desk. I need a surface to put the computer on. And I'm going to need a place to keep a journal and a calendar. I'm going to need a place to deal with my money stuff. Whatever your situation is, you now define the items within the space. So it's the things you use regularly and where it would make the most sense to keep it. So you don't want to have all of your office supplies, the backup of your office supplies on top of the desk, which is what most of my clients do when I first get there. That's what it looks like. All of the office supplies are on the desk, but then there's nowhere to work. So if your home office is an office, that's the defined space, and then you're arranging it so you can do the work, the desk surface should be the work surface. That's where you do the work. So it's now defined as the workspace, not the pile up all my extra office supply space. See the difference there? So the extra supplies can be in a supply area, maybe in the closet, maybe in a drawer, maybe on the credenza. There's a lot of different ways you can approach it. But the first thing is, what is the bigger spaces? The chair needs space to go back and forth. I need space for the computer and to work on my desk and pull some papers out and arrange them. I need a space for the office supplies somewhere. So you see how it starts filling in itself? It kind of makes itself happen if you start this way. All right, so think about that. All right, then you want to furnish it. So once you have the things actually arranged in the space, let's say you don't have a pencil cup on your desk and you like to grab pens and pencils out of a pencil cup. Well, right now you would have just a pile of pens on the desk because that's where you're going to use them, but no cup to hold them. This is when you go to the store to get the containers. This is when you get just the right thing to hold your pens. For me, oops, I knocked a little thing off my desk. I have this old tin flower pot, and I have just my assortment of pens that I use regularly. And see, there's just like kind of one of each kind, not a whole bunch, not overly stuffed. So to hold it up, hold all the things up, I have flower arranging rocks in the bottom. So you can do something like that. It helps hold everything up and all the things I actually use. One letter opener, one of 3 different size Sharpies, one pair of scissors, my one set of highlighters, and my staple puller hanging off the side. So you see, it's after the fact. These are the things I need access to quickly and easily on my desk. So the container came after the fact. And I picked one I really like. It's pretty. And it allows me to keep a variety and be able to rummage around in it and actually find the thing I'm using. Okay. So furnishing is to arrange and keep more neatly and hopefully in a beautiful manner the things you are keeping. Not everything needs a container. Some things do, some things don't. I know I've talked about it before. I am a piler, not a filer. So I have a pile of my to-do items, the things that need my attention, just hang out on the side of my desk. However, because that's kind of temporary stuff, it comes and goes. I work through it every week. The pile stays about the same, but it has different things in it every week. It's just this week's project. However, the stuff I do regularly, my routine items that I work on day in, day out, they're here in a desktop box. So all the information I need for my regularly scheduled items are right here in a box, but handy, right there where I can reach them. Right here, More Than Organized Monday. All my little notes about how to run this video and my topics. So just know that the container, you only need to containerize the things that require containing. And my routine stuff is in a box, so if I ever have to go somewhere, like when I'm on vacation or whatever, I can put the actual box in my car or be able to grab the files very quickly, that those are the ones I need every single week, whether I'm here or not, or for various scenarios like that. Or it would be the thing I'd grab on the way out the door if the house was on fire, the laptop in that box. So there's ways of working with it. Furnishing is last. All right, then you want to enjoy and use the space. And to make that the best it can be, you want to also figure out how to reset your space. So when you take all your stuff out for the day to make your smoothie and your dinner, at the end of the day, you want to go ahead and do your dishes and wipe down the counters and put the extra ingredients away, whether it's right after you make it or at the end of the day. But you want to reset it so you're coming into a space fresh to start the next project. You don't leave the project half done and then wonder why you always feel overwhelmed. Because even if you're, say, working on a puzzle and you don't finish the puzzle, you can put a cloth over it to reset the space and then come back and work on it so the cats don't get it in the meantime. Some of you people with cats. But at your desk, go ahead and straighten things back up. Put your pens back in the pencil cup. Put your to-do pile back in a neat, squared off spot. Put all your routine items back in your desktop file and put all your bills and correspondence in the bills and correspondence file. It all just takes about 30 seconds to reset, and then in the morning you get to start your day fresh again. So same thing in your bathroom, same thing. That's why we make our bed in the morning. So when you return to go to sleep, it feels cozy and fresh. Not rummaging around and dumping stuff off the bed just so you can get a good night's rest. Okay, resetting is super important, and it is the thing that will make your results long-lasting, is to just take that 30 minutes when you leave the room at the end of your work session for whatever it was in there, that you take that moment to reset. Think about it in the bathroom when you are getting ready for the day and you have all your toiletries out and you're using them and you're putting them on your body, and then if you just leave them on the countertop and leave, you come back and they're all over the countertop and you don't have anywhere to set anything down. So if you go ahead and put them back in the drawers or in the cabinets before you leave the room, the bathroom's always fresh and you know where to start. You have a spot to set your coffee down when you are getting ready. So just take a few seconds when you leave a space to actually reset it. You'll have much more enjoyment. Your results will be longer lasting. All right. I think that's all I want to say today about deciding on your space and having a place for everything. If you reverse engineer it a little bit and then build the long-term maintenance of it into the plan, you're going to get a much better result, and you're going to get prettier containers, ones that are just right for the way you want to work and live, and then you'll enjoy them for a long time. All right. Thanks, everyone. In the meantime, I will ask you to have a delightful day. All right. Bye-bye.